Welcome to the Spooky Sandman, where the ordinary gives way to the extraordinary, and shadows hide the unspeakable. Tonight's story isn't just about fear, it's about the choices we make when survival demands the unimaginable. This is Ethan's story, a tale of terror, guilt, and the dark corners of the human soul. Settle in, but don't get too comfortable. You'll soon understand why. We call this one, The House That Consumed Us. I used to believe monsters were just stories, fairy tales to keep kids in line. But now, I know better. It started in the winter of my 17th year. Life in our sleepy little town on the edge of Serbia was slow, frozen in time like the icicles hanging from rooftops. The kind of place where secrets festered, whispered behind closed doors, and the past never really stayed buried. My friends and I, Tom, Ezekiel, Sarah, and me, Ethan, were restless teens with nothing better to do. We spent our days wandering the snowy streets and nights, daring each other to take bigger and bigger risks. The kind of risks that make you feel invincible. But even we couldn't ignore the tension creeping through the town. Over the past year, kids from nearby villages had started vanishing. No ransom notes, no evidence, just gone. Parents whispered warnings, schools enforced curfews, and people locked their doors earlier than ever. We ignored it all. We were too young, too arrogant to believe anything bad could happen to us. It was on one of those gray, snow-dusted afternoons that Tom came up with his big idea. "Let's check out the old house on the hill," he said, flashing his signature reckless grin. The house. Everyone in town knew about it. Decades ago, it had belonged to a man who had done unspeakable things. Murders, rituals, the kind of atrocities that left permanent stains on a place. The adults never spoke his name, but the kids? We turned him into the stuff of dares and ghost stories. The man had disappeared, or so the story went. Some said he was caught and executed. Others claimed he'd escaped into the woods. A few even believed he'd never left the house at all. "I don't know," Sarah hesitated, pulling her coat tighter against the cold. "Oh, come on," Tom teased. "What's the worst that could happen? Afraid of ghosts?" "I think we should skip this one," I muttered, already feeling a gnawing unease. But Tom was relentless, and Ezekiel quickly joined in. By the time the mocking and dares started flying, I knew there was no getting out of it. That's the thing about peer pressure. It's not just words. It's a pull, a tide that sweeps you along whether you want to go or not. The house was worse than I imagined. It stood at the edge of the woods, dark and skeletal against the gray sky. The windows were boarded up, and the roof sagged as if the weight of its history had become too much. It looked like it had been waiting for us. The air grew heavier as we approached, colder even than the biting winter wind. I swear, for a moment I thought I saw something, a shadow moving behind one of the cracked boards. "Let's go back," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. But Tom laughed, already pushing the warped door open. It groaned like a living thing, and the sound sent a shiver straight down my spine. Inside, the house was a graveyard of forgotten lives. Dust coated everything. Broken furniture, shattered picture frames, a child's doll with one glass eye missing. The air was thick with decay, and something else. Something metallic, like old blood. We wandered from room to room, our flashlights sweeping over faded wallpaper and dark stains that I didn't want to think about too hard. In the dining room, a table was still set, as if waiting for a meal that would never come. "This place is sick," Sarah muttered, her voice trembling. "Let's check out the basement," Tom said suddenly. "No," I snapped. "We've seen enough." But Tom was already heading for the stairs, Ezekiel on his heels. Sarah and I hesitated. But there's a point where hesitation turns into fear of being left behind. So, we followed. The basement stairs were narrow and steep, every step creaking under our weight. The smell hit us halfway down, damp and rotting, mixed with something acrid that burned the back of my throat. This space was worse than the rest of the house. The walls were covered in strange symbols, spirals and sigils that seemed to move if you looked at them too long. Books lay scattered on the floor, their pages filled with handwriting that made no sense. And the stains. Is that blood? Sarah asked, her voice barely audible. Tom laughed, but it sounded forced. Relax. It's probably paint or something. It wasn't. Then it happened. Tom froze mid-step, his face contorting in pain before he crumpled to the floor. Before I could reach him, Ezekiel gasped, clutching his chest as he collapsed. Sarah let out a strangled scream, backing into the wall before collapsing, her eyes wide with terror. I didn't even have time to process it before the darkness took me too. When I woke up, the world was different. The flickering light overhead was harsh, and my wrists burned where cold metal bit into them. Chains. My friends were chained beside me, stirring slowly as they woke. What happened? Sarah whispered, her voice shaking. Before anyone could answer, footsteps echoed from above. Slow, deliberate, each step louder than the last. Then he appeared. The man from the stories. His face was pale and sunken, his eyes void of life. He looked impossibly old, but his movements were steady, deliberate. Welcome, children, he rasped, his voice like rusted metal scraping against itself. Tom screamed, "You're supposed to be dead!" The man's lips curled into a grin. "Death fears me," he said, "and soon, so will you." What followed was a nightmare. He spoke of rituals, of sacrifices made to something darker than death itself. He dropped a knife onto the floor with a sickening clang and said 4 words that will haunt me forever. "Feed yourselves, or die." The door slammed shut, locking us in. The hunger came quickly. At first, we tried to hold on to our humanity, but as hours turned into days, the gnawing emptiness became unbearable. Tom was the first to break. "We have to survive," he whispered, picking up the knife. I screamed at him, begged him to stop, but hunger makes monsters of us all. Days turned into weeks. The room became a hellscape of blood and rot. Sarah tried to escape once, but something unseen threw her back, snapping her neck like a twig. Then I saw it. The door. It was never locked. We could have left at any time. When the man returned, I snapped. I took the knife and stabbed him again and again. Then I ran, faster than I'd ever run in my life. When I got home, they didn't recognize me. My parents told me I'd been missing for 5 years. No one believed my story. And the house? The police found nothing. Now I'm here, in this hospital, writing it all down. They say I'm delusional, but I know the truth. He's still out there. And deep down inside, I know that he's coming for me. What would you do if you were faced with Ethan's impossible choice? Would you survive or lose yourself to the darkness? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. If this story sent shivers down your spine, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with a friend who loves a good scare, and subscribe for more spine-chilling tales just like this one.